With Russia's invasion of Ukraine last week, I've heard a number of comparisons between the current invasion and Germany's aggression before World War II. But while I was learning more about the buildup to the current invasion, my mind was comparing Putin not to Hitler, but to a different historical figure, Julius Caesar. Hello, this is Mythology, exploring the intersections of ancient and modern. This video will be a short comparison of Putin's invasion of Ukraine and the beginning of Julius Caesar's takeover of Gaul in 58 BC. We'll look at what these two events have in common and also why this comparison might matter. Russia's current invasion of Ukraine is the culmination of decades of complicated interactions between the two nations. I can't get into all of that history here. However, significantly and recently, in 2014, Russia invaded and annexed the Crimean Peninsula of Ukraine. In 58 BC, Julius Caesar had just become the governor of the Roman province of Gaul. As governor, Caesar's job was to manage and protect this Roman territory. The area that he was in charge of was traditionally inhabited by Celtic tribes, whom the Romans referred to as Gauls. These tribes still lived in the area, however, the Romans had taken over and were ruling, not unlike the Russian annexation of the Crimean Peninsula. Not only did both the Roman Republic and Russia take over a region bordering them, but both have a contentious and violent relationship with their neighboring people. In Russia's case, Ukraine, and in Caesar's case, the Gauls or the Celts. In 2014, after the annexation of the Crimea, other regions of Ukraine declared themselves independent, and with Russia's support, they have been clashing with the Ukrainian government ever since. This violence is a main source of animosity between Ukraine and Russia, and it's a major part of the conflict today. In De Bello Gallico, Caesar's account of his wars in Gaul, he describes his victory over a particular Celtic tribe. And this is a victory he's very proud of, not only because he felt like this tribe was threatening Roman interests currently, but also in the past, this tribe had defeated a Roman army and even had killed the great-grandfather of Caesar's wife. So clearly there's a lot of bad blood already between this particular Celtic tribe and the Romans. In both cases, there's bad blood and a history of conflict between these neighboring peoples. And the invasion is not really just about the current situation, but also about the history and conflict between the two peoples. Both Caesar and Putin are motivated and feel justified in taking action because of this past conflict. Not only has Russia been supporting the separatists in Ukraine since 2014, but since this past November, Russia has been moving troops to the border with Ukraine. No convincing explanation has been given for why Russia would need so many troops at the Ukraine border, and many people have interpreted this troop movement as a prelude to an invasion. Caesar acts in a similar way. As the governor of the province of Gaul, he hears that a Celtic tribe outside of his territory is on the move, and he interprets their actions as a threat to Roman security. He doesn't immediately cross over into Celtic territory, but he does twice raise more troops, and then he brings all of those troops up to the border with the Celts. Caesar, like Putin, is acting offensively, and he has all those troops on the border ready to go as soon as he decides to cross. When pressured by European leaders and the US to pull his troops back from Ukraine, Putin demanded, among other things, that Ukraine never be allowed to be admitted to NATO. This demand seems like something that NATO could never agree to, and indeed, most of Putin's demands are not accepted. So now Putin can argue, oh, the other side is not willing to compromise, and he has more justification for keeping his troops near Ukraine. Similarly, after Caesar defeats part of the Celtic tribe that had been on the move, he asked them for hostages to guarantee that they will not harass Roman allies. The Celts reply that they never give hostages and remind Caesar that he knows that. However, this response gives Caesar an excuse to continue to track and eventually attack those Celts far beyond Roman territory. Putin and Caesar's terms do not seem to be in good faith. They seem designed to be rejected and then used as a justification for further action. Probably the most significant similarity is that both Putin and Caesar use appeals from people in the neighboring territories as justification for military action outside of their own borders. As mentioned, Caesar was already taking action to protect the Roman province. He was raising more troops, bringing them to the border, in order to address the perceived threat of this Celtic tribe on the move. At first, however, he stays within Roman territory. Then Caesar receives messages from some Celtic tribes that are allies of the Romans and who are being attacked by the tribe that is on the move. According to Caesar, these tribes beg and plead for Caesar to come help them and defend them against the other tribe. Putin has continually described the dangers faced by the separatists in eastern Ukraine, going so far as recently calling it genocide. These claims of the harm being done to those in the separatist region and their request for Putin's help are some of the reasons that he has given for the current invasion. Both leaders explain and emphasize the harm being done to their allies in order to justify their military action outside of their territory. So what can we gain from this comparison? Why compare something in 2022 to something more than 2,000 years ago? Well, for one thing, it suggests some common events that may be seen as warnings of a buildup to actual aggression. Troops at the border, a history of conflict in the area, making unmeetable demands, all of these things could be warning signs. Also, for those of us who read and teach Caesar's De Bello Gallico, his accounts of his wars in Gaul, certainly this comparison invites us to look carefully at Caesar's motives and actions. And finally, this can serve as a pretty chilling parallel for what could occur. After entering Celtic territory, Caesar did not leave until he had conquered the entire region in the name of Rome. In about 9 years, roughly the equivalent of modern-day France had been taken from Celtic control and was now part of Roman territory. A pretty chilling parallel to consider if Russian troops are not stopped in the current situation.